How's it going? My name is Eric Henry. I'm one of the trainers here at Sacrifice Training. I am certified under NCCPT, which is National Council of Certified Personal Trainers. And I'm here today to talk to you guys about just the benefits of exercising, doing weight-bearing exercises, and just being able to move, right? And then to talk about mobility as well as flexibility. Those are two things that kind of get thrown around loosely when it comes to exercise. All right. So just to kind of dive right into it, just to knock all the misconceptions out there, all the misbeliefs, all the myths. One of the biggest reasons people don't work out or lift weights is because of the belief that they're going to get hurt. Right? I understand that. Right? Especially if it's something that you're not used to doing. By looking at videos and other people doing different things, I can see how that might scare you, right? But the biggest thing about that is if you have good form, right? If you have someone that can show you proper form, and then you're able to learn that form and then keep that form, that's the biggest thing, be able to keep your form, then you're not going to have any issues as far as injuries are concerned, right? Not to say that it can't happen, right? But you do decrease your chances, right, as far as getting injured when it comes to lifting. So anytime we get a new person in the facility, regardless if they've been lifting for years or this is their first time lifting, we go over their form, right? We make sure that they are able to perform these movements properly before we just load them up with the weight where they can injure themselves because they don't know what they're doing. All right, so that's the biggest thing. Just make sure that you do have good form. If you don't know what you're doing, find somebody that can help you with your form. All right, that's the biggest thing. Good form will decrease your chances as far as getting injured. All right, so don't let that stop you from bettering yourself and just preserving yourself. You know what I mean? Because that's pretty much what you're doing when you're exercising, especially doing like weight-bearing movements as far as lifting weights. You're pretty much just conditioning your body to go through the stress of every day. You know what I mean? Every day you're doing something functional, right? You're sitting, you're grabbing something, you're putting something up, you're squatting, you're hinging at the hips, those type of things. So pretty much that's really what you're doing. You're just preserving your body to last longer and to endure the stress of just everyday life. You know what I mean? Talking about like heart health, cardiovascular health, you know what I mean? Just lifting and conditioning your body will help you decrease the chances of getting heart diseases and things like that. You know what I mean? But one of the other benefits of, and I'm want to talk specifically about weight-bearing movements, just because, that's what we do. In our classes, we do free weights, so a lot of barbell movements. But one of the biggest benefits is that it does decrease your chances of getting osteoporosis, right? Just losing bone density, pretty much. Lifting weights actually helps you to strengthen your bones. Once we get osteoporosis, those bones are fragile. Any little slip, bump, there's a fracture. You know what I mean? Any type of pain could be because of osteoporosis. And we just don't want to go through life like that. You know what I mean? So just lifting and once again, just putting your body under that stress to be able to kind of fight and perform against gravity when you're lifting these weights is what is going to help when it comes to osteoporosis and making sure that we have good bone density. Okay. One of the other benefits of lifting weights, right? One of the biggest ones. Everybody loves, the looks of things. Everybody wants to look a certain way. When you lift, you gain muscle. All right, and that's a big one. Here's another misconception, right? We live in a world where everything is about a number, right? If I ask you right now, how much weight do you want to lose? You'll probably give me a number: 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, right? But that number really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just a number, right? I can pull aside someone that's 150 pounds, go to another city, get somebody that's 150 pounds, and those two people aren't necessarily going to look alike, right? One person can look totally different at 150 pounds than somebody else that's 150 pounds, right? So 5 pounds of muscle is still the same as 5 pounds of fat. It's just that that muscle takes up less space than that fat, right? So once we get to lifting and gaining more muscle mass, then we can decrease our body fat percentage, which is what we want to do, which is the number that we really need to be concerned with, body fat percentage. We can decrease that, and then we got the aesthetics that we want, right? We're looking how we want to look. We're losing inches, right? It's not about losing weight. It's more so about losing body fat, right? And just lifting weights is a great way to do that. All right. Now, just to talk about these movements, right? Especially in our classes, we do a lot of functional movements. So when I say functional, I mean everyday things, right? So, for instance, I'm gonna go ahead and get up and demonstrate now. I don't really do too much demonstration, but I'm gonna give it to y'all today, right? So, for instance, right, how many times have y'all had to squat down and bend at the hips, right, to pick something up and lift it, right? So that's a deadlift, right? To be able to lift something from the ground and stand up with it, right? Just to even get down there to get it, we got to be able to squat, right? And that brings me to another point, just talking about mobility and flexibility, right? Those are another two things that kind of get thrown around. For me, when we talk about mobility and flexibility, flexibility is the ability of the muscle to be able to stretch, right? So when you think about flexibility, you want to think about like those people that contort their body and they can get their arms all the way back here, people that can fit into a suitcase, right? Those people are flexible, right? Now, when we talk about mobility, now we're talking about being able to work full range of motion through your joints, right? And being able to work through that socket, right? So if I'm trying to squat and I'm getting stuck here, it's not because I'm not flexible. I just don't have the hip mobility for me to be able to drop my hips into what we call the hole to be able to get down into that squat. All right. So we have some type of hinge or something is preventing us from being able to work through that range of motion. Okay. So mobility, think about driving, mobile, moving, right? Being able to be mobile, right? Flexibility, being able to stretch, right? Being able to be elastic, flexible. You can bend it, right? So being able to bend and stretch the muscles, all right? So that's the difference between your flexibility and your mobility. But like I was saying, everything we do is functional, right? You want to be able to, like I said, endure everyday stress, right? Being able to push, being able to pull, those are things that we work on, right? That all of that has to do with a lot of core Everybody wants abs, right? So those are just like some beginner movements that you can learn the basics to, as far as squatting, right? Deadlift, being able to lift something off the ground, right? Being able to push. How many times have you had to put something overhead on a shelf, right? Or pull something down from a shelf, right? Those are just some of the basic movements that you can work on your own, really, at the house without even having to go to a gym or anything like that. All right. But this is just real short. Just kind of going over why you should exercise, right? Especially once you hit over the age of 20. Once we get older, Father Time, it doesn't play. You know what I mean? You want to be able to live a long, healthy life, be able to enjoy your life. If you have kids, you want to be able to move with your kids. You want to be able to keep up with your kids, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So don't be scared to go, even if you haven't done this, right? Even if you've never lifted before, it's never too late. I promise you, it's never too late, and it's only going to benefit you. All right. So I challenge you, if you're not working out right now, right, just start twice a week, 2 times a week, a Tuesday, Thursday. Get it in at the house, 30 minutes. Walk around the block. You know what I mean? Do something that is going to preserve your body to last longer, right? So, like I said, you can live a nice, healthy, happy, joyful life. All right. Once again, my name is Eric. Appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
What's going on, y'all? So, my name is Bryson. I'm the owner of Sacrifice Training Athletic Performance. And today I'm talking to you about nutrition. All right. The first thing that I kind of want to say is that when it comes to nutrition, we have to think about nutrition differently. We have to take away the connection of nutrition and weight loss. Although that might be what you want, we need to take that whole idea away, like remove it. And I want to reach y'all the definition of nutrition. So the definition of nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. To provide the food necessary for health and for growth. Okay? So when it comes to nutrition, you have to connect it to being healthy. I talk to our athletes and our clients about nutrition and food being a source of fuel. That's what it is. It's fuel for our bodies. Calories, that's basically the measure of energy inside of a certain food. And then, you get into whole foods and processed foods and all of these things, and understanding macros can be a lot of information, but it's good to have a pretty basic understanding of what macros are and your macronutrients, which are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. Okay. I know most people want information again on nutrition about weight loss, and just kind of going back to that, I think that if you take away this whole idea that you're trying to connect nutrition and eating better to losing weight, and you just eat better, and you understand, of course, we got to understand, because a lot of times people think just eating better is going to have them lose weight and drop body fat. But that's not necessarily the case, because I think a lot of people are not educated about the amount of calories that are in a lot of foods that you eat. You might think, man, this is a healthy burger, this is a healthy this, but then you go back and look at the calories and see, dang, like I really just ate a day's worth of calories in this one sitting. And a lot of times that happens over and over throughout the day. So you're never in a caloric deficit. and you need to be in a caloric deficit in order to drop weight. A lot of times, you need to be in a caloric deficit. I would say, 8 out of 10 times we're going to have to be in a caloric deficit. There are some cases where, you might have an athlete that is looking to drop weight, but we might increase his calories. But I don't necessarily want to get into that. But a lot of us are going to have to be in a caloric deficit in order to drop weight. And what that means is you have to eat less calories, okay, or you have to burn, okay, more calories compared to what you're eating. For instance, like if your basal metabolic rate is 2,100 and you burn 2,100 calories in a day. If there's someone that I want to gain weight, I'm going to have them increase their caloric intake. And it's going to have to be more than, of course, 2,100 calories, and it's going to have to be more than the calories that they burn in access to just resting, because the basal metabolic rate is just a resting, amount of calories that your body will burn. So if you're working out and you're doing other things and you're really active, then you're going to burn more calories. So in order to gain, we have to do that, because on the other side of it, and the reason I'm talking about it is because there is a certain population out there that wants to put on weight, and they're trying to figure out how to put on muscle. And that's what you have to do. You have to go into a caloric surplus. Okay, so if you want to gain, we have to consume 3,500 more calories than you burn in a week. So for instance, if you want to gain a pound, you have to consume 3,500 more calories than you burn. Okay. And on the flip side of that, again, like we have to figure out, if you're trying to drop weight, we have to figure out to get into a caloric deficit. Okay. So that means that you're most likely going to be eating less calories daily than what you're eating right now. And we'd have to track that. We'd have to track that information starting out to kind of figure out what a good baseline is when it comes to dropping weight. And we use the rest of this time to just kind of talk about macros and talk about protein and carbohydrates and fats. And man, there's so many fad diets and plans out there. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff that works. Like there's a lot of stuff that works. And I'll say probably temporarily, or it'll get you started. But a lot of diets out there are not sustainable, from my experience, for just people's everyday life. And you have to be really careful getting caught up in the newest fad that's on Instagram. You have to be really careful looking at people on IG. And this is funny to me because I see it all the time, but you see people, you watch or you see posts, and guys, you're not seeing the whole truth about what people are taking when it comes to losing weight. They're not just doing these donkey kickbacks and drinking that green tea to look like that. Please, if you listen to anything I say today, please do not get caught up in the fad diets and the lies that you see on social media. All right. You have to figure out, and you have to get organized, and you have to figure out a plan that works for you and something that is sustainable. And it's not always you getting rid of all of the foods that you love. I do recommend that for a lot of you guys to start out with some type of cleanse. And there's a good veggie protein cleanse. That's a 7-day veggie protein cleanse that we start a lot of our clients out with. And I'll make sure we'll provide this as well, so you guys can have it. But that's a good way to kickstart. It's not something that you're going to continue to do, but it can restart our digestive system to get your body ready and your cells ready to actually absorb the nutrients and the whole foods and the vitamins and the minerals that you're gonna start eating after you come off that plan. I'm also gonna send you guys a meal plan for weight loss and weight gain to hit both sides. Something that I think is a lot more sustainable when it comes to nutrition. But again, we're talking about macros, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Like, I think protein, if you're the type of person that's trying to lose weight and you figure you're just going to starve yourself, that you notice, like, that's not going to work long term, because what happens is your body's going to begin to feel as if, like, if it knows that it's not getting fuel, it's going to try to preserve and hold on to things, so it slows down the metabolism. Okay, so again, there are a lot of things that might work initially, but it's not something that's going to be sustainable. So when it comes to protein, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about each one, but protein is going to be good for you in a lot more ways other than gaining muscle. But it also helps you with satiety, and it helps with the hormones that help balance these things as far as you feeling full. Okay, so like a high protein breakfast will be really good with helping you not want to snack so much throughout the day or be thinking about eating. And then you end up binging because you're thinking about eating, you're hungry and you want to eat. And then when you get something, you're eating too much of it. Okay. For the people that are really active, a lot of times we will go into a low carb diet to drop weight. So we will pull back on the carbohydrates and kind of reset the body to use fat as fuel because fat is a great source of fuel. And not to get too crazy in it, but yes, there are different types of carbs. But when it comes to carbohydrates, that is your main source of energy when it comes to being active and exercising. But what we have used and the things that have worked really well for us are going to pull back a little bit on the carbohydrates and a little bit on the fat too. We don't pull back on the protein, but we really monitor the calories when it comes to weight loss and weight gain. Again, trying to make sure that we're in a surplus when it comes to calories for putting on weight, putting on muscle, and making sure that we're in a caloric deficit when it comes to trying to drop weight. Yes, you will need to keep up with your weight. Don't do it every day, but maybe you can check it weekly so you can know what adjustments you need to make as far as increasing your calories or decreasing calories. But more than anything, I just wanted to kind of let you guys know, like, find something that really works for you. And you have to, there's going to take some discipline when it comes to this. Your palate will change over time when you stop eating sugar. Sugar is a drug for real, for real. Like, sugar will have your mind messed up. So if you can start to put, might have some sugar withdrawals. You'll notice some things maybe changing in your mood. But over time, your body will adjust. It's good to maybe find you a partner, somebody that can do that with you, and y'all can do it together. There's so much to talk about when it comes to nutrition, but if you have any questions, y'all feel free. Y'all can reach out via email, sacrificetraining@gmail.com. I don't mind sending more information, but y'all have a good one.